Hey, what's going on, guys? I want to start a little bit early tonight. Normally, I don't get going for London Open until for about another hour or so from now. And on Thursdays, typically, I'll do a New York Open session. But because of all the FOMC action that we had for Wednesday, I had elected to jump on a little bit earlier to see if we can't check out some levels here that might become advantageous going into Thursday's trading. So check this out. We've got the week in review. As you can see, Wednesday, pretty volatile. I'll run through the charts here in a second and bring you up to speed if you haven't been on top of them today. Do a real quick overview, but you can see crude oil inventories it started out with, and then late in the day we had some, to be honest with you, probably started running earlier than 2 p.m. New York time, but it was definitely an eventful day, and really all it did was run stops on both sides, because if you look at the daily candle on the on US dollar in particular, it just about ended up with a doji. So I'll talk about that here in a second. But basically all FOMC news events and federal funds rate, and then FOMC press conference. So they were yapping about a whole bunch of different stuff to gyrate the markets all over the place, and really didn't do a whole lot at the end of the day. But coming into Thursday, a couple of opportunities here. We're looking at the euro, a few more core durable goods news, and final GDP numbers for the US dollar. And then we've got Draghi, who's going on about something there in the morning, 9:30 a.m. New York time, which should add a little bit more volatility to the euro news from earlier. And then, of course, late in the day, very, very late in the day, Fed Chair Powell is speaking, so we could see right before markets close, about half an hour before they close. I shouldn't say close. Forex market obviously is 24/7, 5 days a week, but new day starts a half an hour later than this. So Fed Chair Powell is speaking. And then, again, late day, government polls are speaking on the Canadian dollar. I've got some couple ideas for you guys on the Canadian dollar as well, too. And I'm going to show you a chart, which is, I find it quite interesting, a little bit of uncorrelated activity happening on the U.S. CAD compared to some other majors. And going down the list into euro and pound sterling news on on Friday, and more euro news. That's all medium impacts, nothing too serious, except for the one current account for the pound, and then some more Canadian dollar news on Friday. So anyway, long story short, all of this news and all of this yapping, what I'm trying to say here is I think Thursday and Friday are going to be fairly advantageous in terms of trading days. Now, I didn't do anything today except for a small crude trade that I had put on. So I'm just going to bring up the chart here now and get into it here. I'm not going to be very long either. I'm going to try and wrap this up in about 20 minutes or so, let you guys get on with the rest of your day. And I am going to just do this. Start fresh here. So this is the US dollar. As you can see, this was the Wednesday's candle that was posted. So not a whole lot of anything that happened. A whole lot of wicks below and a whole lot of wicks above. It gained a little bit of ground. And I'll zoom in a little bit here. Gained a little bit of ground on the week, with this being Monday's open rate here. It took out the highs from Monday, and again, really didn't go anywhere, didn't do anything. Definitely wasn't the fireworks that I had expected on the daily. If you look on the hourly, I'll put the day dividers on for you. You can see all today did was run the stops. So if you look at it and you say, okay, well, we've got stops from Wednesday down here, and we've got, actually from earlier this week, you can see they ran out the highs from Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday briefly create a bit of a high there, and that again got ran out here on Wednesday. Twice they came up. They came up once and then twice for good measure, and then came down and sunk the market. So really, this is what I was saying. This was the news event. This was all that 2 p.m. news event that happens. And you can see they ran the stops above. So they were moving the market well in advance of all that news that was coming out. But today was just basically hit your stop day and run. That's all it was. So anybody unlucky enough to be trading in this market, and I, for the record, sat on the sidelines. I did nothing other than a simple crude trade, which I'll talk to you about in a minute here. But that's really all today was about. Was running through stops, and like I say, they opened up here and they finished here, which was about a whopping 6 pip difference on the day. So that was what the day was. Hopefully, again, you guys didn't trade it. But I think we have some options here going forward into Thursday and Friday. Now, a couple of areas on the chart. One being right here. And if this is not your first time on this, obviously you guys would have heard this before. If price decides to go higher, I believe it's not going to be a momentary brief run up. I believe it's going to be a stretch, and it's going to try and reach for these highs up in here. I don't really see price going much higher than here. I don't see it getting above this swing high in here. If it does, then I think it's going to be a market structure shift, and we could see much higher prices. But barring that, we're still in technically a seasonal bearish trend on the U.S. dollar. So I believe that we should see continuation to the dollar, albeit a short return higher if Wednesday's highs get breached. Again, we could see a bit of a pop-up. Now, this isn't huge. On the dollar, like we're not talking big moves here. So 94.30 to the upside would be a level that would easily clear these, and we could just get a real quick pop up, 10 pips or so to 94.40, and I believe that would pretty much stop the capitulation to the upside for the U.S. dollar. That 10, maybe 15 pip stop run, depending on what it is. If market breaks this high, I believe that's where we could be going, because I don't see this as being a whole ton of resistance in here. Now, with that being said, that's to the upside. Obviously, on the downside, we got to go out to the daily to check that out, because there are some levels on the daily, which I've been calling for a very long time, mainly right here. You see these two equal lows right here? Stops are sitting there. We start making a move to the downside here during London Open. This is going to be my target to finish off the week. All they've been doing is moving price sideways this week. So you can see here there's a series of expansion, a period of contraction, to another period of expansion, down to here. Whoops. Sorry, sometimes MT4 doesn't always cooperate. Give me that. You see that expansion right there? And then now we're in this short-term little contraction again. So again, if they could stay in this range for a little bit longer, who knows? I mean, look at this consolidation right here. I'm hoping that price is going to make a definitive push out of this, move down, clear these stops under here, and away we go. But just bear in mind, again, there's a lot of news events going on tomorrow and on Friday. I'm hoping we're going to see a move lower. But again, if we break these highs and this structure gives way to the upside, then I'll be looking for this on the upside to get recapitalized, and then I'm hoping a move down. And again, if price breaks higher than that 90.40 level, like see these lows in here, I don't want to see price go any higher than that, and it pretty much coincides right with that 90.40 level on the upside. That's kind of the line in the sand for me. If we see price move above that, more than likely then we're going to see it try to take out this swing high, and then we'll be back into the old highs here. I think eventually it'll get there, but that's more reserved, I think, for November, December timeframe, maybe even into next year. I don't think we're done on the downside here yet, and main reason being, again, they've left some stops. They just barely got under this guy right here, once, twice, 3 times. I think they're going to make a final drive lower, clear out all the stops, and then eventually move higher. So that's what my forecast is going on for the U.S. dollar. But you can see, like I say, like it was just a stop run day today. They ran the stops here, and then they ran them again right down here. And if you guys are part of my group, you would have seen this exact chart that I laid out today, so you can see sort of what they were driving for. And then they wound up pretty much finishing off right about in the middle. So anyway, with that being said, if we can see, if price starts to break this level here, going into London, so we're a bit above it right now. We're at 93.86 on this chart. And again, double check a couple of sources, because it's always going to be different on everybody's chart. But if price starts breaking below 93.70, I'm going to be looking for this as not a stop run, because they did it down here, and this is going to be the move to the downside that we've been looking for, and that's when I think we'll see price start to run for this level. And I'll put a price tag on there as well too, so you can see. 91, sorry, 93. I'm going to do 93.15 just as an even, easy figure. So that'd be the target on the downside. So if that being said, let's flip over to the euro and check that out. Again, same exact scenario, but opposite of what the US dollar was. We had stops run out here today, and we had stops run to the downside here, and they were just clearing the highs and the lows from Tuesday's trading. They stayed inside Monday's range, and this was last Friday's, Friday of last week here. So I like, see this where I've got this blue line right here and this price index here. I like this level here. I think maybe not quite down to 1700. If they could hit it, great. I'm kind of more so looking at about 1710, and I'd like to see them move price down there. If we see them move price down to 1710, so if price starts to roll off from here and we get just sort of a quick sweep below here, I'd be looking for price to bounce here. Now, it could be a short-term bounce. I'd have to watch it because there's a lot of resistance up here. But I think this level, somewhere between 1710 and 1700, is going to offer some sort of support. That's a pretty major level. And again, if we do see the US dollar start to roll over and we get this level broken, then I believe that we're going to start to see the Euro USD start to really push higher. We took out some major highs. You see these highs in here? Took those out convincingly. All these highs in here, and I was calling this for a while. Those highs got ripped out, and the stops above this got taken late last week. And again, I'm just sort of looking for them, kind of like a breakout retest strategy, looking for them to come up, consolidate, run back down, grab the stops, put a few more long positions on, and then blast this thing up to 1880. That's sort of what I'm looking for the week to cap out on. Now, on the downside, if we start to see US dollar run higher and we start to get up into here, then this 1700 level, it's not going to hold up. That's going to give way. And I've got our next level down at 1635, I believe, on the downside. You know what? I'm just going to actually keep it at 1640 just for simplicity's sake. That level, I think, would be the target if we see the US dollar try to stretch for these highs here. Now, where it goes from there, I don't know. Again, if we start to break this swing high, then I think we're going to go up higher. But if we do see a little bit of resistance here, we could see a bounce. But again, if this 1700 level gives way, then I think there could be an easy 60 pip grab that you can get. They're going to come run under here, and they're going to try and recapitalize these old positions down back in here, and maybe we'll see a bounce. I don't know. Have to wait for it to get there, but that would be the target on the week. So again, two targets for you, 1800, or ideally get a long off at 1700. And if 1700 gives way, then the 1640 is what I'll be looking to capitalize up and snake myself 60 pips on the downside. Again, my bias and opinion is a little bit more to the upside on this, only because the US dollar has been, whoops, maybe if I switched over the US dollar, only because the US dollar has been so bearish as of late, and I want to see this bearishness continue. I don't believe that just them sweeping below this little low here was enough. I think they're going to run it down convincingly and put everybody off who's on the long side and got their stops jammed up under here offside, and then they're going to run it. So I think we could see one more push higher in US dollar if that is the case. Zipping over to the pound quickly, and again, I'm about 15 minutes into this. I want to wrap this up here in about 5-10. So you can see here, if you're a trendline trader, you just got stopped out. You were hoping to go long, and you just got ripped out of the market. Now, the markets have been, after hours, this is the Asian session. Markets have been really moving in the Asian session for whatever reason. And it's not just a couple of pairs, it's a lot of them. So far, I've been moving 35 pips to the downside. So I like that. Again, that kind of lends to that whole theory of the euro drop down and then a run. We could see that happen on the pound dollar here. And my level that I'm looking at for them to kind of stop this sort of downward spiral would be about I just want to make sure I got this dialed in here, about 131.20 for a nice even round number. Really like it. Cleans up a little bit of inefficiency in that area. And I believe we'll start to see a move higher from there. to be honest with you, and this, I got trapped on this last week. Not necessarily trapped. I didn't lose anything on it. But as you saw price cascade down here last Friday, I was actually, and I'll pull it up if I can find it. You see right in here, I was watching the Asian range all through the day close up until London Open, and then price had come up. It sunk down, took out all the stops, ran back up, and I was looking at a turtle soup short, and for a continuation down one more leg underneath here, and I ended up. It's a good thing I jammed my stop right down to break even as soon as price started rolling over. I jammed my stop to break even. So I didn't lose anything, but you can see price just completely ripped up and recapitalized this area. So I was watching it again, and they kind of gingerly brought it down again, only to smash it back up. And again, this trend line, if you're a trend line trader, you would have got lucky twice if you traded that way. However, they broke it today. I think we're going to see some resistance here to the upside. I think we're going to see this price come down, rip down one more time. We're going to take out this low here. We're going to capitalize these areas up in here, and away we go. So on the upside, the target, I like see these areas up here, how we've got some relatively equal highs up here. I think that could potentially be the target that they're looking to go to. Now, I definitely wouldn't be holding for that long. That's a nice hold there if you could get that. You know, I mean, that's 160 pips. Great trade for a Thursday and a Friday. But at the end of the day, I'm kind of thinking that I would be taking some portions off at this high here, and I'd leave a tiny little portion on to see if it would get up into here. More than likely, though, I would probably be taking off the majority of my trade about the 3260 level. I believe kind of serves me right on this one, and if it gets that extra little bit of juice, great, but you don't always have to hold on to the very last dime. So anyway, that's sort of my thoughts on what we're going to be seeing. So it basically just kind of looks something like this. We'll probably see price run up a little bit here, maybe even hit the back of that trend line there. And for all you trend line traders out there, and boom, and that's what I'm looking for. Could be a good trade. And I just want to double check. So there is no pound news on Thursday, but there is some pretty high impact news on Friday. So I'm hoping they don't take that long to get down here. However, just keep that in mind. They might move the euro on Thursday, and they might hold the pound, or vice versa. It's one or the other usually. So just keep that in mind. Now, lastly, take a look at this. So this is what I was talking about. Look at US CAD. Came in and completely defied all the odds and is ripping higher. Look at the US dollar. This is a 4-hour chart on US CAD. So this, the US CAD and the US dollar should be an exact replica of each other. As you can see, not the case. US dollar is consolidating, chopping sideways, and steadily dropping lower. US CAD came off of a nice pullback, took the stops just briefly, and is now running as fast as it can back up. My target, I don't think this is going to slow down. My target on this guy, I think they're going to clear this high here and these highs in here. I'd be looking for them to be stretching up to in and around the 3100 level. I think that's an easy target on US CAD, and so they're manipulating this thing again. Usually it's in sync with what the US dollar is doing, but you can see it just doesn't want to have any part of that. It's still running, and now with the caveat of, look, if we don't see a run higher, like if price fails in here for whatever reason, you can see how it's starting to put a couple of wicks in. If price does not get past here, then we're probably going to see a run higher. And I'll put this up here. You know what? Call it 30.50, just for a nice even round number. 130.50. If price fails to get above 130.50, we could see a return back to the downside. I always got to give you two options, because it's either up or down, or consolidating, I guess. But that's kind of what I'm looking for, and that'd be a nice 50. And I actually think it's going to go higher than 3100, but that'd be a nice little a rip up. Nice, again, 50 pip grab if you can get it. And if we get some more continuation to the upside, I wouldn't be looking for them to come back down lower than this high right here. I would think that they had the chance to do it here. They briefly came down, ripped it right through it, and away they go. So that's sort of what I'm looking at. Now, I'm just going to do one quick thing here. You know what? Yeah, like you see right here, you see how efficiently price has been traded in here. Up, back down, up, back down. All the levels have been filled up nicely. The only one level is right here. So this is kind of what I'd be looking at. I would be looking for them to come back down to this level right here. And I would assume this is going to offer some sort of support on the downside. If this level gets broken, watch price. Again, like a quick wick through, you know, is fine. But if we see price closing below this line, that's probably not, the long idea is probably not going to happen on Thursday. They might be reserving it for Friday, and they'll probably end up trading back down to the 129 to 130 big figure level. Okay, clear as mud. Hope so. And lastly, crude oil. Bit of an exercise in patience on crude oil. I ended up getting short right here. I was looking for price. I was waiting for crude oil inventories. I wanted to wait a little bit longer, and I saw price ripping up down here, and I was thinking, okay, this is a nice catalyst, and it came all the way back down here, and I sure as hell wasn't going to be selling it down here. I am looking for lower prices on crude oil. But you see this rip up right into here. This is where I ended up getting short on it. Or sorry, this is where I ended up getting short on it. And then price came up, stabbed up to it once. And just look at this block of trading. I mean, they just could not have traded in there anymore. And just unbelievable. And then they slammed it down one time. And then price started sitting in here. And it was almost the end of the day. And I got out right around here, somewhere in this area. I didn't want to sit on it any longer. Made a couple of bucks, nothing serious, but look what price ended up doing. It just smashed right back up, took out these relatively equal highs right here, and again, this is all aftermarket trading, right? So I find that pretty interesting. Let me just, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Thank you. You can see how it gunned that high. Right in through there, and so far it's been trading softer. Now, here's my quick down and dirty thoughts on crude oil. If it wasn't for this big push up right here, I would be under the interpretation that we were going lower. I really want to see this gap get filled down here. I think that's still on deck. A little bit tougher to get it from current position, but I think it's still a possibility. And you could even go, look, here's the big thing. I am not a licensed futures broker or a commodity trade advisor or anything like that. So this does not constitute as trade advice, as you know, I've stated several times in the past. These are all just my ideas. You take the trades or don't take the trades. I'm assuming everyone's doing this in a demo account, as this is a demo account right here, but here's what I'd be looking at doing. And you could tell very, very quickly. If price wants to start making a run lower, it's going to do it pretty soon. And you could have a fairly tight stop. Like, I would suggest that, I mean, I would definitely not keep your stop any high. See these highs in here? The highs of the bodies right in here? I'd put my stop right about there, just in case they want to come up and just test this old high again. But you could certainly do that, and just watch, you know, just sit here and watch price. I mean, if price starts really selling off, you could certainly jump onto a long if you'd like to, or wait for a pullback, which this candle just gave up nicely here. However, look at these equal highs right here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 equal highs there. They may want to come up and just gun that one more time, and I'd be looking for price to stall out right in here. And then I'd be looking for the downside. Now, I'm overall bullish to the upside on crude oil. I believe we're going to see prices into the 80s. However, there's a massive block of resistance right here. See where I got this red line? 73.12. Massive, massive, massive block of resistance. And I believe that we could see price run up even the 7,300. Sorry, $73 a barrel. Could be on tap. So just keep that in mind. Okay, watch price where it's at. You see these levels. If they start to make one more run higher, watch where it goes. If it clears this, they're going to be reaching for 73 bucks. If they fail in here, if they just come up, stab up, clear these highs, wick, and they start to head back down, they're going to come back and they're going to recapitalize this 71.60 area down here. Okay, so and that's kind of where my money's got to. And the only reason my money or my bias is to the downside is because they've got this big inefficiency right here. And you see how they came in, they cleared everything right here. They smashed price above, smashed price below, and then ripped up. And they just really failed to get anywhere from there. And price has been trading softer. I want to see them come down. I really want to see them clean this area up, come down, and then this is going to be the big trade. So if they do come down to clear this up, right here, I mean, this is the money zone right here. I don't believe they're going to come back down underneath here because they've got the stops on this stop run right here. There is a small area under here where they could run it, but I was hoping that if they were going to do that, they would have done that last week here. As you can see, when they came down, they fell short and then smashed us up again. So, again, this would be a great area for the long in here. And I'll put a price tag right there. So, down the road, I'll talk about that level again. I am expecting them to come down and revisit that. You could get on for a short, and that would be a beautiful $1.50 trade on crude oil. And then from there, I would expect some massive support at that level and a push higher. And hopefully that push higher would then get into these highs up here and hopefully maybe surpass it and even hit the 75 level. So that's kind of my thoughts, just quick, down and dirty. I've been on this now 28 minutes. I'm wrapping up. My job here is done. If you guys have any questions, throw a comment out. Big Bacon. Thanks for the insight. Hey, my pleasure, my man. I appreciate you jumping on there. And if there's any way I can help you, if you have any other questions or anything like that, thumbs up this video too, guys. It really helps me kind of get the word out. The more thumbs up I get and the more comments, the more activity, the more people it reaches. And, you know, I'm here to help you guys with some of your trades. If I can give you an idea or two, you know, down the road, it makes you a little bit of money. Great. That's all I'm here to do. So, hey, anyway, I'm going to run. Thank you very much. And Dave will be live. I might jump in for a New York session tomorrow. I don't know yet. It's 10 p.m. here in North America, where I'm at in the world. And I might jump on if I have time in the morning to do a quick New York session around 8 a.m. New York time to 8:30 a.m. New York time, just depending on how the markets are shaping up. But I'm going to be watching these things. Again, remember, Euro, Cable, CAD, and Crude. Those are the four that I'm looking at right now. And away we go. So we'll catch up to you guys next time. And don't forget, Dave will be live, as always, Friday morning if I don't come in New York time. I'll post it, I'll tweet it, I'll link it, and all you guys will have access to it. New York Open Friday morning. Dave will be on trading the S&P and gold markets. So